Every group on this earth understands that you're in a team relationship. Racism is a team sport. It came into existence as a team. You play as a team or you lose by default. And only with black folk do people get upset when black folks start talking about coming together and uniting and working together and cooperating together, buying from each other and supporting each other. You know why? For a simple reason that everybody understands. When you come together and unify, that signifies strength. And right now, everybody right now is pimping and hustling black folk. They've been pimping and hustling black folk for 400 or 500 years. We spend approximately 97% to 98% of all our money outside of our own community, as an example. And we don't practice group economics. We don't practice group politics. All that makes, when we spend 98% of all our money outside of our community, what that does, it makes the other groups enriched. They now are living off of two incomes. They live off of 100% of their money and 98% of our money.
Hello, Freedmen family and riders. That was our beautiful elder, Dr. Claude Anderson. Now, I don't know if there's such a thing as Dr. Claude overload, but I'm about to overload a few of y'all who willing to listen today with some facts from Dr. Claude. And it relates to my story. Now, I'm not here to get a copyright strike or anything like that. This is for research and learning purposes. Now, if you have not heard, some of them folks are starting or trying to attempt to start their own town in an area that is separate away from us and a few other groups, okay? Now, as from my understanding, this town is in Arkansas and many people are left out. Now, honestly, I didn't think too much of it because I'm cool being separated. True tea. I truly don't care. I mean, I'm reporting on it now to give out the information, but I'm cool with it. Anyways, let's jump right on into it. Let's take a look at this video and we will definitely talk about the town, how this benefits us, FBA, and just how hypocritical some of them folks can be. Take a listen and we gonna talk.
No blacks, no Jews, no gays. High up in the Ozark Hills in the state of Arkansas, dozens of people have been working hard, building houses and a new type of community. It's called Return to the Land, and it is a town open to white people only. They are millennials and Gen Z, and this is a new update of age-old prejudice.
What we've done here is establish a place where we have control over who our neighbors are, and that is just for the sake of preserving, our culture.
And that culture, effectively, we're saying this is a white culture, a whites-only place.
White American culture.
But what this sounds like is bringing back segregation. Is that a fair assessment?
It's free association. So we're not trying to keep other people down. This is a small settlement in the middle of the Ozarks.
But they are being kept out, even if...
you don't let everyone into your home.
Around 40 people live here. Hundreds more from across the world have paid to be members. And while the men do the physical labour, the women take care of the children who live here full time. It could be a very loving community if you're part of the community, but if you're black, or if you're Jewish, or if you're gay, you can't be part of that community.
They can have their own communities, and they already do.
You might be wondering how any of this can be legal. Return to the Land is structured as a private members association, which they believe allows them to discriminate on the basis of ethnicity, along with other factors. That has yet to be tested in the courts and may well fail. The Arkansas Attorney General has said his office is now reviewing the matter as a result of our reporting, and that there is no room for racial discrimination in Arkansas or anywhere in a free society.
Again, this little freedman black girl don't care. And oh, you know what? I promise you, they don't have to worry about any of us coming to their area, trying to be in their mix, or violently attacking them or intimidating them. Like how they did our ancestors and elders, okay? Then get mad when we bring it up. I had to say that because there are numerous videos on TikTok where them folks are literally trying to create this narrative that many of us are outraged, that they don't want to be around us, or, we're violent. Let me set this straight. Many FBA freedmen do not care. Just keep the same energy when we focus on ourselves. Now, the issue I do have is some of these same folks who are okay with this, but always got a problem when FBA talk about doing something for ourselves or those who come from ancestors who ruined our towns and generational wealth that got something to say. You need to be quiet. See, that's when you start getting hypocritical. Don't come whining and crying about us being full of racism and discriminating against you because we choose to do something specifically for ourselves. Keep the same energy that you have now. That goes for the people of this town and the people who support this town. We don't have to be all up in your mix the way y'all have to be in ours. We're cool minding our business. In fact, many of our FBA elders and ancestors, and even now, contrary to what you've been taught, don't want to be around you like that. Many of our elders did not want integration. They wanted equal resources. And it was your people who initiated integration. It was because you needed us and our dollars. You're the ones that lied to yourselves and say that everybody built this country when we know that's a bald-faced lie. You tried and you failed to build colonies in Virginia and all over, and you did not succeed until you got us to plant the cotton, indigo, create the banking industry, roads, insurance, just everything. Guys, I was walking downtown recently, and believe it or not, Charleston, South Carolina is built with slavery. South Carolina is filled with a ton of history. A lot of people sleep on us, but a lot has been built, and we still have plantations here that I visit. Of course, I'm a historian, so I love studying, never get tired of it. And I came across a brick recently, and it literally had the slave child's fingerprint. And that's so common here. I mean, it's common. You find remnants of us all over. I mean, all the industries. It wasn't just cotton, and they all benefited from it. It wasn't just the South. The North had the world's biggest plantation at one point. New York, Maryland started it. So I don't get into this South and North and West stuff. No, we all experience racism, just in a different way. Also in New York, we had Wall Street. We were the first stock and bonds. It used to be called livestock and bondage, but they changed it over time. We were the first. Once we were released on paper, and I do mean only on paper, y'all still found other ways to re-enslave FBA legally with sharecropping, convict leasing, because you were too lazy to rebuild places that the Civil War had destroyed. Oh yeah, you needed us so bad and was so dependent on the people that you hate so much that you had a whole war, because both sides, and y'all look alike, because y'all love talking about black on black crime, both sides couldn't have their way. So you were ready to destroy your country, but y'all so patriotic, really? And even after convict leasing and sharecropping, we still built some of our own towns, communities, and business districts. And oftentimes, when you saw how successful they were, you came in and destroyed them legally, or with violence and intimidation, or just downright lynching. And it's always on a trumped up charge. Now, many of us are learning the history that's been denied to us that, we weren't taught in schools. So with that being said, based on what I know, you're not hurting me by going to yourself. You hurting yourself. Y'all can't stay away from the people y'all hate. And FBA family and riders, this right here is why I'm all for separation, them creating their own towns, and why I say we had more without them.
1866 and up to about into the 1920s, black folk had the greatest economic achievement they've ever had in this country. Even though it didn't occur under integration, it occurred under segregation. Those black folk had managed to acquire over 20 million acres of land, according to the United States Census in 1920. 20 million acres of land. But between 1920s and 1950s, they lost almost all of it. Back in the 1920s up to the 1940s, we had black broom factories, we had black mattress factories. Almost every black major city had at least 2 cab companies. We had black bus companies. We had black shipyard up here in Baltimore. When I say black bus lines, I'm not talking about just having 3 or 4 buses. We had over 500 buses. And this is in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And our bus company didn't just service just the black neighborhoods. It serviced the blacks and the white neighborhoods. We had 2 black cab companies. We had the Harris Cab Companies and the Campbell City Cab Companies. But they used to have their own restaurants. They had the best nightclubs in the country. The blacks had 2 baseball leagues. Each baseball league had 8 teams. We had over 500 of the best baseball players in the world. But what did they do? They wanted to integrate. So as soon as they put Jackie Robinson on the Brooklyn Dodgers, black folks said, we'll give up all of our black baseball leagues, black teams, and all our black players, and we can just get one black boy to play on a white team.
Black Americans were gung-ho about integration because we thought that would be our passport to freedom. We equated integration with freedom.
That scared whites to death. And see, at that time you had whites, a lot of these white separate communities. You had white Polish communities, you had white Jewish communities, you had white Italian communities, you had white Irish communities. And white folks said, well, we're not going to let, if these blacks want to integrate, we're going to come together and organize as a unit. And so white folks then dropped all their little communities and said, no, we're going to organize as a one white block. We're not going to talk about I'm being Polish and you're Irish and German anymore. We ain't going to do that anymore. We're going to stick together as a group. We're not going to let all these blacks come and penetrate us.
Because we were doing things and becoming self-sufficient, that became a threat. So instead of them just coming out and attacking, because they couldn't just come out with an all-out attack, we were a little bit too strong for that, and we would have fought back, and there would have been a civil unrest that would have definitely undermined the security of the country. Instead, they said, well, let's invite them into a place that they've always coveted, and that is into the white estuaries of power, into the white citadels of power. Let us make sure we bring them in and incorporate them to us, and therefore, being that they're going to have to buy their facilities and all their materials from us, they're going to have to interface with us anyway, they're going to dress like us, act like us, and we will take the best of what they have and capitalize eventually and take it over. We will have quelled or stopped any threat or competition to our business, and that's exactly what they did.
So black folks stripped themselves of all their resources, they stripped themselves of their unity, they stripped themselves of the role model when all blacks used to live together. Then they had their own role models. All the doctors and lawyers and teachers with the black lived all together. You had a sense of community. You knew each other, you trusted each other, you worked with each other, you participated with each other. You learned how to buy from each other, to sell each other, to support each other, to care about each other, to love each other. When black folk up in integration, blacks never locked their homes.
We practice a very profound humanity. If an Asian opens a store in our community, we do not boycott and discriminate against them. If an Arab opens a store in our community, we do not boycott and discriminate against them. If a Jewish person opens a store in our community, we do not boycott and discriminate against them. We shop with all peoples. We treat all peoples equally. The problem is they're not treating us equally. See, we caught in our own humanity. And until we begin to address that and demand that others practice towards us the same human concern and love that we practice towards them, we will stay in this situation.
Now, again, bothered by them building their own community, when we see what we're capable of without them, or when left alone, FBA thrive. History shows this. And the fact that we never set out to sabotage them or told them where they can eat, sleep, or live, or go to school, or anything like that shows that black people cannot be racist. Racism has more to do with power than anything. The group who has the most power uses that power they have to mistreat the people who don't have all the power. If they want to be left alone, then leave them alone. Just keep that same energy down when we start to focus on ourselves, because it's a lot of them folks on TikTok crying about this. So believe me, they know what time it is. We get things popping. Remember to stay out of our spaces. Stop butting in every time we do something. I mean, these people can't stay off, even our social media or even the comments here. Something that small is too hard for them. And they got the nerve, some of them, to create the narrative that it bothers us or that it hurts us, that they're doing something on their own. History shows we never cared about what y'all were doing. Y'all always cared about us. Y'all, I can remember on my Instagram page, I always address Black freedmen or FBA. Specifically, I literally let them know I'm speaking directly to you. And there was one of them folks, women, who she always would come in the comments I guess she didn't like how I would address specifically my people. Now, again, the bio and the pinned comments tell you who I focus on, but she couldn't take it. And so she would literally come in the comments every time I address something with freedmen, women or men. She would come in and say, oh, this is for everybody. And one day I just decided to correct her, because it was starting to get on my nerves and I had let it slide for a minute, okay? I mean, she was getting on my nerves. She literally was so nice and, wanted to be friends with us, but it just bothered her whenever I spoke about my people, and I spoke specifically to them. So anyway, one day I responded to her and I said black freedmen. It's not changing. Y'all, don't y'all know this same lady who had followed that page, I guess, for months, and who was trying to be nice to everybody, getting the information that she could get, told me that we're all the same. That's why she put everybody. She considers us people of color, and she's a minority, and we're all the same. Y'all, when I tell y'all the smoke rise off me, how arrogant do you have to be to tell somebody who they are? And she literally came in my inbox. She got mad that I corrected her and came in my inbox and was trying to go back and forth with me about, yes, you are people of color. Like, she literally was doing all that, doing voice notes and all, telling me what I was. The amount of arrogance. But notice, we don't go in their spaces like that. I don't know any black person that just takes the time to go on their social media or show up in their meetings or in their comments or on their page just to harass them and tell them what they don't like. We don't do that. Guys, I used to tell my dad that all the time. They hate us, but they can't stay from around us. And I just don't understand that, because when I don't like somebody, I don't want to be around them. Like I said, I don't care who go, but they don't have to worry about this little black girl showing up to protest them trying to be away from me. Now, I did read a few articles about how the NAACP and some of the Democrats did speak out against it, but they don't speak for me. Them folks been sold us out a long time ago. I mean, these are people who are supposed to be for black organizations, but who are literally putting the cape on for illegals and everybody else, ensuring that they get tangibles, but we get broken promises. So again, they don't speak for me at all. I've even had some say, this is a sundown town, so we should be concerned. Y'all, we got sundown towns all over the U.S. In fact, the entire U.S. could be a sundown town or place if you really want to take it there. Okay, we got another video coming soon about many of these truck drivers who are FBA driving and they coming up missing. I'm not about to be outraged by this foolishness. I'm outraged by things like that. I'm outraged, and I pay attention to the Democrats. I'm outraged that you sitting up here giving tangibles to everybody else, but you expect us to vote for you. You know what? I'm going to give them a little bit more of my mind while I feel like it. These people will sit here and call out Trump, for being racist and every little thing they could think of because they mad that, he's in office, or they just don't like him. That's fine. I don't like everything about him either, but I love what he's doing for immigration. I love that. But I noticed with the Democrats, the people who we vote for 80 to 90% of the time, they ain't doing nothing about racism that FBA got to deal with. They're not doing anything about the wealth gap because of slavery, and also a lot of the things that happened after slavery. The stuff that they don't teach us about in schools, because see, we were set free with no land, no money, no nothing. But our people, FBA, made a way out of no way. We got it out of the mud. You see all these people coming here now that had the red carpet rolled out for them. They getting help with their rent, free education, health care. See, they didn't give us nothing but sabotage. But yet we lazy and we only looking for a handout. Nope. We're owed. Many others are not. Early 1900s, black people had 20 million acres of land, and they enriched themselves in different industries and businesses with our land. Just land alone, we lost wealth from them folks through violence, trickery, systematic racism. The Democrats ain't doing nothing but that. Not a thing. I could care less about Jasmine Crockett acting a fool or how they want to label us as racists. I don't care. I care about policy and tangibles. And I have a right to not give my vote to people who I feel like are not doing anything for me. And miss me with the whole Republicans aren't doing anything either. We don't vote for them 80 to 90% of the time. They've not broken any promises. They've showed us exactly who they are. It's the Democrats who have pretty much perfected being our friend when they're not. Now, I wanted to cover this story because I truly wanted to show show my FBA people who wanted the information that integrating with these people really didn't do anything for us. We suffered. Our family structure was destroyed quite a bit. We stopped circulating our dollars in one area. Now the average black business literally have to operate on a small budget. They can barely get capital. It's also harder to sell and get our businesses patronized by our own now because they're all scattered. So yes, we do have $1 trillion spending power, but we're so scattered now versus all before where, you could go to a black business one after another because they were in one area. We were forced to be in an area, but that actually ended up being a good thing, us being amongst each other. Even though we suffered from post-traumatic slave syndrome, we still dealt with it a little bit more better because we were together. Guys, years ago, I watched this documentary actually on YouTube called How to Sell to Negroes. And it literally tells you how them folks have tapped into our market. They didn't know it existed. And when they realized that we had a market, that's when they were all for integration. Malcolm X told us that. You guys, a few years ago, if you remember, or you can look it up, there was about 19 black families who actually came together. This was in the 2000s. They came together to build on 19 acres of land. And them folks actually made such a big deal out of that. All because this families, they wanted their own community for themselves and others who wanted to join. Now, rumor has it that they sabotage these people. And I can believe it. That's how they are. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and conclude this video, though, because I've been here long enough. I'm part-time, y'all, but I try to get everything in. And 2 or 3 videos a week. Okay. But before I conclude, I just want to specifically highlight some of the black business districts we had during segregation. Now, we had 3 black Wall Streets at the time, only 3, but we had hundreds of black business districts. Now, there's a difference between a black Wall Street and a black business district. Okay. There's a huge difference. All right. And that's one of the reasons I'm so excited for y'all to see the merchandise that we actually created highlighting our black businesses. Okay. So anyway, be sure to like the video if possible. That'll help us out in the algorithm. Be sure to subscribe to Emancipation Media as well as the African Diaspora News Channel app, okay? And be sure to sign up for our upcoming website. Also, one more thing. Make sure we're taking care of ourselves, guys. We've had some unbelievably hot days, freedmen and riders. Like literally. Let's make sure we're checking on our elderly, taking care of ourselves also by drinking water, not going out in this heat if we don't have to, okay? Let's just please make sure we take care of ourselves. I'm going to conclude, but listen to some of the districts, okay? And let me know in the comments. Do you think it's okay for them to create this town, or are you bothered by it? Let me know. Take care, guys. Thanks for listening. Did you know that wherever there was a prosperous black community or business district in the U.S., they used the concept of creating new freeways or interstates, as some know it, and stadiums to displace people and destroy black generational wealth? And they did it so smoothly, too. They did it by using the National Interstate and Defense Highway Act of 1956. Now, the act was enacted June 1956 by President Dwight Eisenhower. While TV in the 1950s and 60s romanticized the new interstate law and the cars that traveled on it, there was a sneaky secret behind it. And the truth is, when deciding the path of the interstates, public officials in other states specifically targeted our people and our communities, and of course, our black generational wealth on purpose. Now, when deciding the path of the interstates, public officials in many states specifically targeted black communities. Racist politicians and city planners knew that emerging civil rights movement would eventually undo their legal segregation policies and zoning laws. Now, one thing about it, laws can be struck down with the stroke of a pen or the bang of a gavel, but roads and bridges cannot be torn down so easily. And public officials knew this. They used phrases like urban renewal or slum clearance to make their bigoted intentions sound good and socially accepted. Overall, within the first 2 decades of highway construction alone, millions of black homes and businesses were destroyed nationwide. Unfortunately, many people don't know. Independence Heights. Now, Independence Heights, located just northwest of Houston, Texas, became home to some 600 black residents and a flourishing black business district. Now, residents of the area established their own city charter and became the first black municipality in the state of Texas. However, in the 1950s and 60s, a highway project displaced the black enclave of homeowners, landowners, and business owners. The new highway literally ran through its heart to displace them. Overtown in Miami, Florida. Now, in segregated Miami, Florida, there was the Overtown neighborhood, and in the 1940s, this was home to a thriving Black business district. Black entrepreneurs owned hotels, bars, restaurants, theaters, homes, and more. Now, the neighborhood flourished until the 1960s. This is when two new highways, I-95 and I-395, went up in the middle of it. Some 75% of the neighborhood's residents were displaced, and their businesses and generational wealth was lost. More than a century, Claiborne Avenue served as a center of New Orleans' Black economic and cultural life. In the late 1960s, the construction of I-10 and Claiborne Avenue Expressway stopped the community's success. The once vibrant, thriving Black community and business district had 118 Black-owned businesses before its destruction. Bronzeville out of Chicago, Illinois. Now, the Dan Ryan Expressway was built to provide fast access to downtown Chicago for white suburban residents. It also reinforced existing boundaries between white and Black communities. Now, built using eminent domain, the Dan Ryan Expressway cut through nearly 12 miles of the South Side neighborhood. 64% of Chicago's Black residents were displaced, and multiple Black homes and businesses and generational wealth was stolen. The Dan Ryan Expressway is now designated as both I-94 and 90. San Juan Hill, New York, sits under Lincoln Center. Now, before there was the Lincoln Center and the New York City Ballet, there was San Juan Hill, a Black community in Manhattan. Now, the Black community was not only filled with us, but had over 800 Black businesses in one area. The businesses consisted of pool rooms, saloons, clubs, dance hall, restaurants, grocery stores, and more. The area would then be called or labeled as the worst slum district of New York City, just to justify the use of urban renewal to displace Black families and businesses and destroy their generational wealth. Many don't even know the area existed. 4th Avenue, Birmingham, Alabama. Now, when you think of Birmingham, Alabama, you might think of boycotts or history, something like that. However, Birmingham did have its own Black business district formed around 1890. Now, Black leaders and entrepreneurs and pastors pooled their resources together to create the 4th Avenue Business District, or what was then known as Scratch Ankle. That's what some of the locals referred it to. Now, because many Blacks couldn't get jobs there, they were forced to start their own businesses, and the area boomed, and the Black dollar just flowed on through. See, they don't tell us that in schools. They rather just focus on the nonviolent movement, not what happens when we get together. Now, the business district consisted of hotels, restaurants, entertainment venues, barbershops, professional, medical, and legal offices, and more. The business district also had the Penny Savings Bank of Alabama, the first Black-owned financial institution in the state, and only one of 3 in the nation at the time. All that's left behind now is the historical marker of what once was, destroyed through systematic racism. Freedmen's Village in Arlington, Virginia. Now, you may not have heard of this one, but in the 1800s, Freedmen's Village was a thriving Black community established by the federal government for newly freed slaves in Arlington, Virginia, using half of their paychecks that they earned after slavery. Now, the community of 3,000 Black people carved out a self-sufficient Black community that lasted over 40 years. The area had its own hospitals, schools, and churches, again, all paid for out of their own paycheck. The area that once was today, guys, sit under Arlington National Cemetery and the Pentagon. The other nearby Black community of Queen City now sit beneath its parking lot. We're going to do one more. Jefferson Street, Nashville, Tennessee. Now, Nashville, Tennessee's famed Jefferson Street was once a booming hub for the city's Black middle class. Now, during Jim Crow era, Jefferson Street was known for its thriving Black business districts. And Jefferson Street provided an area where the residents could deposit checks in Black-owned banks, shop at Black-owned stores, dine at Black-owned restaurants. It was also a central hub for the burgeoning Nashville music scene, with legends such as Etta James and Jimi Hendrix even performing there. In the late 1960s, Nashville city planners and civic officials added a curve to Interstate 40 in 1967, knocking out hundreds of Black homes and Black businesses in a prominent Black neighborhood. Many don't even know it existed.